everyone, it's Blake with Y2K. I hope you're having an awesome day. Today's going to be a really cool review. I'm driving a 991.2, but it's the base, which everyone says is the car to own in the Carrera range. It is twin turbo, 370 horsepower, so it's not slow. And I can't wait to get behind the wheel of this thing and show you what it's all about. I'm also going to be reviewing a 991.2 Carrera 4S with the bigger turbos, and then also a little bit from now, maybe a couple weeks from now, they're going to let me drive a 992. So it's going to be cool to see the lineage from 991.2 base to 4S and then to 992S. So I'm really excited about that. I know these aren't Y2K cars, but I'm not going to say no to driving some brand new 911s and helping out my local dealership here, which is Porsche of Destin. So they're really great people, and it's a great opportunity for me to check out some new Porsches. So let's get behind the wheel. All right, guys, before we set off in the 991, I wanted to kind of go over the options list. This car is Miami blue, and it has a graphite blue chalk interior, which I really do like this interior color a lot. They are not the sport seats, which is the only kind of critique I have for it. I also do wish it was a manual, but the PDK is what 70% of people are ordering. So, you know, at the end of the day, if you're going to get an automatic, it's by far the best automatic you could ever get. I did have a GT3 991.1, and the PDK is absolutely phenomenal. This car has 20-inch turbo wheels, a heated steering wheel. It's got the LED lights and Porsche Dynamic Light System Plus, electric slide and tilt sunroof here. It's got a power steering plus. I'm not sure what that is. It does have the sports steering wheel, which I like a lot. And it does have a Bose stereo. It's got 14-way power seats here. And the premium package is, well, I guess it says it's 14-way seats, so it's just a repeated thing. It's got the Sport Chrono package, Sport Design package, Sport Chrono stopwatch in white, very Miami vibe, I like that. And it's got the tailpipes in black. All right, right now we're in normal mode, which is, you know, relaxing mode. There's a nice turn up here I want to check out to see how this thing handles. Now this car, like I said, is the 3-liter twin turbo, smallest turbos compared to the S. So the S has a little bit bigger turbos than this. It's 331 foot-pounds of torque, and I mean, for a base Carrera, this is a lot of power, and Porsche horsepower is completely different compared to any other manufacturer. So 370 in this is going to be really a pretty quick car. 0 to 60 with PDK is 4 seconds dead, and top speed is 183 miles an hour. So it's not slow, and Porsche is always conservative, so I'm pretty much going to guarantee you it's a high 3-second car to 60 with the PDK. Obviously, as I said, I would prefer the manual, but this is no doubt way faster. So we'll put in sport and manual, and we're going to take this turn right here and see how she feels. Oh yeah, corner's so good. And it doesn't look like, you know, this does not have the sport exhaust, so I'm not hearing as many pops and burbles as normal. It does sound good though. Sounds really good. They still have the howl on the engine note. If you, any of you die-hard naturally aspirated Porsche fans, you'll know that around the higher RPM register in the older cars, it was like, I think it was maybe like 5,800 or something like that. It would really start to come alive. With the Vario cam, and this car has a similar kind of sound to it. And what they've done is actually taken an intake tube and routed it into the cabin. It's not fake, but it is an intake tube into the cabin, so you can actually hear the induction noise, which is actually really, really smart. So, you know, I think they did a really good job with this engine. And the torque is everywhere. The power band is like 1,500 to 6,500. So it's a really nice spread out power band. It does make peak power at 65, but you only lose about 4% of your power from 6,500 to red line on this is 74. So you still want to rev it out, which is good on a turbo motor. 991, you know, they move that engine more forward. So as these Porsches progress, you know, that motor is getting more and more forward. It's becoming less of a rear engine car, more of a mid-engine car, which, you know, from an engineering standpoint is ideal. But Porsche has figured out a way to make a rear engine car still, you know, handle very neutral, and it's very impressive. You really can't tell that it's got the motor in the back. The steering in this car is not like the previous older 911s where it was super light front end and kind of darty. It feels a lot more stable. People say that this base turbo motor feels the most, you know, naturally aspirated out of all because it has such small turbos on it. So I'm interested to see how it compares to the S, which has the bigger turbos. So it's going to be more lag, but more power up top. So, you know, that's it's going to be an interesting comparison. This car definitely doesn't feel like it has any turbo lag at all. And I can hear the turbos pulling up a little bit, not a lot, but you can definitely hear that they're there. I do know, as far as aftermarket upgrades go, which, you know, I'm a big fan of, with the Cobb tune, I want to say these are maybe like 40 or 50 horsepower up over the factory numbers. And then you can actually do upgraded turbos. And I want to say they can make like 500 to the wheels, which, I mean, hell, on a narrow body Carrera, 500 to the wheels that's pretty cool. And you would have a very good sleeper on your hands because everyone would just assume it's a base Carrera. I was trying to just park out in the middle of the road. I'm sure you guys saw that. Now the 991.2 also got Apple CarPlay and a revised kind of LCD infotainment system. Maybe it's LED, but you know, one of those, LCD LED. It's got a new infotainment system. And the big change to it was CarPlay. My old 991 GT3 was, you know, old school. It had a bunch of buttons, which this has a lot of buttons still, but it didn't have the touchscreen capability. So that's, you know, one of the changes they made was, you know, obviously first was the motor. That was the biggest change, going from the NA 3.4 and 3.8 to a 3.0, and then all they did was change turbo sizes between base Carrera and S. So that was, you know, key differences. I showed you, I don't know if I showed you on the walk around, but it does have some rakes on the rear spoiler now on the 991.2, which are black, which are kind of like a retro throwback. That looks really good and contrasts, you know, with the color of the car. But that was the big changes, was the engine and the infotainment system. Other than that, it was just kind of a mini facelift on the exterior part of the car. I definitely think you would need to put the sport exhaust on this. It would sound, it sounds really good, and it has a lot of crackles to it, which, although they are not real crackles, they sound very nice. The electric steering on this car. I can feel every little thing in the road. Maybe it might not be quite as good as hydraulic, but it is really close, and that is saying a lot for a drive-by-wire system. You can feel all the little grooves in this bridge right now, and it's just it's a nice car to drive. It makes you want to have fun, and these are great daily driver cars. This is the do-it-all supercar. You know, you can go get groceries, you can go pick your kids up from school, you know, you can take it on a cross-country road trip, and then you can take it to the track, and it will handle all of that with ease. So, you know, the 911 is just, there's a reason why there's so many of them on the road, is because they are so user-friendly, and it's just, you know, the epitome of an everyday sports car, and they've just kind of evolved this thing. 911s to me are kind of like iPhones. You know, when you get a new iPhone, it's not a revolutionary thing, it's just a little bit better, and that's what Porsche has done, you know, over the past 50 or 60 years. It's just kind of evolved this thing slowly over time, and it's just perfect now. So they don't want to change it too much, because you don't want to mess with a good thing. You know, going to turbos though was a big deal, and if anyone was going to do it right, it's Porsche. You know, they've always had the 911 turbo, so they've had a lot of time to learn about turbocharged, and I want to say I think they were one of the first manufacturers to experiment with them on a racetrack, and they were very successful with it. You know, back in the day though, it was huge turbo lag and then tons of top end power, and they've obviously got that all figured out now. It is a little odd to say that, you know, definitely, for me, I like the manual because I'm just old school. You know, I'm Y2K. I gotta have a manual. But this PDK is nice. I can't believe that the base Carrera is this fast. And one of the first things you notice when you get in 911 is how all these controls are laid out, the steering wheel and the shifter right here, and the pedals, and just the seating position, and how you can see out of it. Like, everything is laid out perfectly in this car. Wow. That never gets old. You know, that never gets old. Another turn coming up. I found 2 turns in Florida now. That's important. I need to move to a place with turns. That's what these cars are made for. With these Porsches, you get tons of corner exit traction, which is exactly what you want to get out of the hole. They are a slow in, fast out kind of car. You kind of have to trail brake them in to get some weight on the nose. Like I said, the steering is a little light in the front. It's much better than older 911s, but you have to kind of get it in, get it settled, and then it's time to accelerate out with the best traction possible with that engine over the rear. Yeah, I cannot tell this car is turbocharged. It's really impressive. A little bit of a dip right here. Let's see how it handles that. Nicely. Down to second. Oh yeah. A lot of fun. Alright guys, well those are my impressions on the 991.2 Carrera. I'm getting ready to get in the Carrera 4S, which you'll see on the next video, and compare the two and see if I prefer the bigger turbos and you know, more horsepower over this kind of more delicate 3-liter with the smaller turbos, and really great throttle response. Feels very naturally aspirated, so it'll be interesting to see which one I prefer over the other. And if you liked what you saw here today, be sure to give us a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one.